Welcome to the Game Professor Podcast, where the students have taken over. We profess our love and hate for all things video games. Today, NBC decides to enter where Warner Brothers exited, and we think there's quite a bit of potential there. Get ready to set sail as you play Sea of Thieves, but on sand. Thankfully, we are in the reality in which Windows wasn't built around Copilot. Although, it may still happen in the future. We discuss a AAA game that failed so hard that the developers from the studio actually quit the industry altogether. Does the Steam Machine have its own ring of death? We discuss that. What gamer peripheral has the best durability? Keyboard, mice, controller? We'll get into that. And finally, we end with more information from the Xbox Sony drama fallout as they continue their race to the bottom, because apparently, no matter what it is, they can't let the other company outdo the others. So they're just gonna keep being in the bad news box for as long as they can. First, we get into, again, because we've talked about it 3 times, although this time not quite as good of news, Meccha Chameleon now hitting 15 million copies. That's awesome news. However, as with any popular game, and it just drives me nuts, it's a frickin' hide-and-seek game. Why is there a cheater problem? There's no ranked. There's no prestige to be had, really. Like, the whole point of it is to be fun and be creative with your art skills and hiding skills. Like, I don't understand.
Because the goal isn't to express the skill, it's to win.
Yeah, but that's the thing, it's hide and seek. Who cares? Why do you care about winning a hide and seek game? Like,
because
in the moment, having fun.
There are a lot of very poorly adjusted people in this world. That's why.
I mean, that's fair. So, to give people some more information, cheaters are using external programs to modify the in-game painting tool. The tool instantly scans the area and applies a complex pattern to the player, perfectly mimicking the colors behind the character, and a second click repaints and smooths the image for an even more accurate and immediate camouflage. Along with that auto-painting cheat, players are also encountering ESP, aka wall hacks, aimbots, and teleportation hacks. So not only are people cheating to hide, but they're also cheating to find the hiders, the people actually doing the thing that they're supposed to be doing and having fun. I mean, like, I just don't.
Yep.
Man.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It is what it is. It's a bummer. If you're out there and you think some weird stuff is happening, this is what's going on, because there are cheaters with as popular as it's becoming. You can be a part of the solution, though, because there are players that are fighting back, and instead of hiding themselves, they just follow the cheater and then hide right next to them and paint themselves with a big giant red arrow pointing to the cheater on the wall.
That's a banger.
So, if you do get a cheater in your game, feel free to have your own fun by specifically ruining their fun, because they were going to do it to you anyways.
Yup.
Oh, man. Alrighty. So, I'm not sure how much more we'll actually get into this, but, like, this one was unique enough and it annoyed me enough that I brought it back up. But, yeah, it's a fun game. Boo on cheaters. Boo. Alrighty. Another piece of news that I actually wouldn't have discussed in any way or form, because I don't care about this game at all. However, I feel like it's relevant to the recent Sony discussion about going all digital. So, Mario Kart Tour, which is a mobile official Nintendo Mario Kart game, will be shutting down completely September 30th, 2026. It is being taken offline nearly 7 years to the day after its initial launch in 2019, and the app has effectively been in maintenance mode for the last couple of years, with no new material, courses, drivers, carts, whatever. There is paid in-game currency, because there is kind of a gotcha type of thing to this, and that in-game currency, which are rubies, has been discontinued. Any remaining rubies are valid and players can spend them in the shop still. However, if you try to purchase any new stuff for the Game Pass, that is not allowed anymore, so you can't acquire any more of that. And starting August 4th, all players will be granted access to Gold Pass benefits until the game gets shut down. The free access excludes any continuous subscription perks, however. Unlike some other Nintendo mobile games, this one will not be transformed into an offline version. So it's going to be completely defunct. Even if you own it, even if you paid for rubies and in-game stuff, you will basically lose access to any of that. It's not going to function ever again. Well, at least for any sort of foreseeable future. And this is not a game that failed. It was, upon its inception, pretty massive. It had 14.7 million downloads. Now, that's not quite as much as Meccha Chameleon, but it is still a success. But
that
however,
was in 24 hours.
Yeah, that was in 24 hours. So, oh man, you beat me to it. It did rack up over 274 million downloads over its lifespan. So, very popular. It generated an estimated $268.4 million for Nintendo over that entire time. And like I said, it faced a little bit of criticism because it's got that gacha type stuff. Now, the caveat here is that a lot of the stuff that was added to this game is available in other Mario Kart games, but obviously you have to buy a console and the game to play those games. So it requires a whole different set of investment. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because this is exactly the complaint against an all-digital future. Because no matter what, at the end of the day, you don't own it. And if the company decides, no matter how successful this was clearly a successful mobile game, and it wouldn't really require a lot, I would assume, to add the bots and put it into an offline version.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still choosing to just fully shut it down.
Yeah, why spend more money?
I mean, you're not wrong. Yeah, that is kind of the look, and that's kind of where Stop Killing Games movement comes from. That's why the concern about games going digital only with no disc exists, because you literally have, we just talked about this last week, and here is an example from a major company on a successful games where it's just like, we're done, and that means you're done. So,
I mean, I want to also clarify on the whole like no disc versus disc thing. It doesn't really matter. It just happens to coincide. If they kept selling you discs that were effectively just licenses on a DVD, they could do the same thing. It wouldn't make a damn difference.
You're not wrong. That is definitely true. But I think obviously the equivalence, whether or not it's false or true, is that a physical disc allows you to most of the time continue to enjoy the product. Whether or not some features become defunct if the servers go offline, usually it's an indication that at least some form of the game will still exist to be playable. Not always the case, but it's at least equated with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I just kind of wanted to point out that like it doesn't necessarily equate, but I understand the stereotype, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, it's 100% fair. So again, normally I wouldn't bring this up, but it's just indicative of the thing that everybody is concerned about. But that's all we have for the quick announcements. Let's get into some business and econ. Now, this is probably my most look forward to segment for this week, just because I love fun, thought, creative type stuff. So NBCUniversal potentially is looking at getting into gaming. So according to Reuters, the report highlighted on social media, NBCUniversal is reportedly looking to get more involved in the video game industry, with the potential move coming in the wake of a planned split from Comcast, as NBCUniversal explores gaming opportunities to grow as a standalone business. Reuters notes that the company is considering a bigger role in gaming that could include development or developing its own games, publishing titles, or outright buying existing game companies. And there are quite a few robust IPs that they could do this with which we'll get in a little bit later. Michael Cavanaugh, the CEO, who's leading NBCUniversal post-split, stated the company will have the freedom to explore adjacent businesses where we have the right to play. While the media giant is not ruling out purchasing game studios or publishers, sources confirm no specific deals are currently being discussed, and there are no guarantees any will materialize. So none of this is concrete in any way. This is all just kind of, inference, and someone's kind of mentioned something. So take it with a grain of salt. It's also not their first foray into the gaming world, as back in 2022, Comcast reportedly was considering merging NBC with Electronic Arts, and even looked into acquiring a stake in Activision or Epic Games. Financial analysts have recently posited that NBCUniversal could seek a partnership with a platform like Roblox to tap into their user-generated content, or to try to deepen its existing ties with Nintendo, which they did make and publish and distribute the Mario movie. Investors and media conglomerates are increasingly chasing these gaming economics. And one kind of interesting note is, with the massive wave of developer layoffs that we've kind of all discussed, and there's more information we have this week about that, there is a lot of talent available. So if they were going to start up a studio, they do kind of have their pick of potential employees available out there that I'm sure are looking for a job. So yeah, with that all being...
not a better time.
Right now is the time. With that being said, let's get into some of their IPs. And we've kind of marked ones that we thought would be fun, that we could already see some stuff going. And we'll mention a few others that exist. So if anything here tickles your fancy and you think one of these would make an interesting gaming idea, make sure to put it in the comments. What's the IP? What's the game? Because I would love any ideas that anyone has for some of these, because there could be some really cool ones we didn't think about. So, start off with NPC has the Jurassic Park /World IPs. So, you have a rich universe of dinosaurs, which, oh man, there's nothing to be had there with any sort of dinosaur material. Nope. I mean, the idea that has already happened, it already exists, is a potential park builder, which exists. You can go buy that on Steam right now. There's a Jurassic Park kind of roller coaster tycoon type game. So that already exists, but they could always make more or go more in depth with it.
And it could be first party.
It could be first party, yeah. The other one that I actually really liked the idea of is the horror type stressed kind of game, or it's like the most recent Alien Isolation game, where you're creeping around the defunct park and you've got to avoid being eaten by the various dinosaurs that exist in the park. So I think that could be a really cool game, especially if you approach it from kind of the first, or not the first movie, but like Jurassic World 2, kind of, where the park is already defunct and you're going back to it. Because I think that would be cool. Or even if they wanted to start from the first movie, where you're there and the whole outbreak happens, so you're kind of doing it while everything's happening, and then the sequel could be somebody going back to collect samples with the defunct park. So I feel like there's a whole series that's already ready to go right there for that game.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Like, the thing that I vividly remember when it comes to Jurassic Park and Jurassic World is the arcade games. Like the giant boxes that you step into and you're basically on the back of a Jeep. Yeah, exactly. Like, those are the things that
like the House
I
of the Dead,
imagine.
Time Crisis type thing.
Yeah, exactly. And like, all you have to do is flesh that out into a full-fledged game and you'd win.
Well, so I actually would take that back. You don't even need to do a full-fledged game. What about a VR game for that?
True.
Like, I don't even know if you necessarily do full movement, or if you do something a little more on rails type thing, where it's moving you from piece to piece, and you've got that shooter type thing. I would be fine with that, and you don't have to make it long because it's a VR game, so it's the type of thing that has replayable value. So
yeah, I have to agree.
That could be fun.
I probably never play it, but here we are.
I mean, I want a Steam frame, and if for the right price, I would not be against playing it on a Steam frame. So
that's fair.
Anyone who doesn't get sick, you could also play it.
Right.
Alrighty, the next one, Fast and Furious. I mean, it's Fast and Furious. I would think that the thing you could lead into here, rather than the obvious, which is a racing game of any type, open world, Burnout style, more traditional, maybe a mix where you're going to a traditional track of the day and by night you're doing street racing, whatever. That's I mean, that's on the surface. That's real easy. The thing that I think would be interesting is if instead, what if you had the focus on the racing, but there were heist sections? Because, I mean, the majority of the movies of the Fast and the Furious movies is they have to go somewhere and get something and then get away.
True.
So the whole point could be doing something ridiculous. I mean, pick movie set pieces. What if you're getting airdropped out of the back of the plane in your cars, landing onto the side of the mountain, and then you've got to race down to somewhere where then you have to complete some sort of heist, get back in your car and race out. Like, I feel like that would be a really cool mix of things that would be unique to the Fast and the Furious game, rather than just like a Need for Speed or anything else.
But also, at the exact same time, you could just do Need for Speed better.
You could.
And
that is the obvious option.
You'd probably make bank. I know I'd probably buy it.
That is 100% an option. I do not disagree with it. I just was trying to add a little bit more flair, something a little bit more unique.
You could even
there's
go
nothing wrong with
so
a game that
far.
just works.
Yeah, you could even go so far as to almost make it like Grand Theft Auto.
Well, here's the thing. I feel like GTA works for a lot of IPs. The GTA style works for a lot of IPs. So I think you're right here. There are some later we'll get into. But those do cost a lot of money. So you gotta be careful with those. But I do agree. You could fit that in here.
Does it cost as much as Concord did?
Technically, GTA cost 2 Concords at least. So.
Yeah, but one of those things were asked for and the other one wasn't.
Or you could say that the hero shooter Concord costs half of a GTA, which is also kind of insane.
That is insane. But again, one of these things was asked for years. Other one, no one wanted.
That's true. No. Even when people saw it, they're like, no, I don't want that.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Alrighty. Outside of that, they have the Bourne series. So Bourne Identity, Bourne Ultimatum, that type of stuff, which, I mean, right off the top of the bat, the obvious option is a Splinter Cell type game. So the spy, sneaky, some action type stuff where you take out bad guys, that 100% exists. You could even go more stealth if you wanted, though I don't think the Bourne series really embodies stealth as much as it does like action set pieces.
Yeah.
But you could try to do Hitman with a little more action if you really wanted.
Could.
But outside of that, there's also Scarface. This is where I think you get a little bit closer to your GTA style game or a Mafia style game. You know, being the cocaine empire dealers. Could follow you up from the ground up to the head of the organization, whatever you want to do. The Scarface IP is no stranger to games. They have had games in the past. So that's not something that would be 100% new for that IP. Going from there is also the Mummy franchise, which I mean, I don't know about the whole franchise. Some of those movies are bad, but I did love the first Mummy movie a lot. It was a very good movie, very entertaining. I mean, obviously, Indiana Jones type game. Easily, Brendan Fraser in that movie is a charismatic guy going through the deserts and the sand. So you could even do something where it's a little bit more science horror, or not science horror, but a little bit more horror thriller type action game than it is just action game.
Yeah.
So that could be interesting and fun. Another series that I think is probably one of the best options on this list, to be honest with you, would be Van Helsing. The reason I say Van Helsing is because NBC also owns Dracula, Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Wolfman, Invisible Man, and Creature from the Black Lagoon. So along with all the public domain horror baddies, you can also get the actual copyrighted baddies and put them in a Van Helsing game where your whole goal is hunting down horror baddies. Like, I don't think that's a saturated market at the moment.
Not even remotely.
No, so I feel like this is one of the best options to go with. Now, I'm not saying Van Helsing is a very heavily recognized IP in and of itself, but you start adding a whole bunch of this other stuff in, and it gets a lot more interesting. And
yeah, like
I
in
mean,
particular,
the Resident Evil games have been doing amazing. So
yeah, I mean, in particular, right? Like specifically Frankenstein and Dracula, those are very recognizable.
yeah, 100%. So I mean, and here, even think about this. Think about a good horror scene. So the Van Helsing character is more steampunk-esque rather than modern type things. So you've got like the crossbow, like repeating crossbow type stuff. Imagine a segment in which it's a chase scene with the invisible baddie. Like, or just a hide and seek moment scene with the the invisible man, where you there's some sort of gimmick, some sort of thing in which you can kind of figure out where he is, and so you've got to play cat and mouse with this character. There's just all kinds of unique opportunities here, and it's not a market that's heavily saturated, so it's something you could easily get into without having to compete with heavy hitters like GTA or all the other racing games that exist out there. So, good opportunity here. One of my favorite movie series of all time, The Chronicles of Riddick, aka Pitch Black. Loved the original movie. There have already been games made for this series, but like Xbox 360, Xbox era, so it's been a while. So, just you could revisit that, and this is the type of game that would be much better for that stealth archetype. Or you could lean into the opposite because of the melee aspect of Riddick and go more God of War type thing. So, or even a little bit of both. So, but plenty of opportunity for this series. Tremors, which
Oh yeah.
if anybody doesn't know what Tremors is, go look it up. It's a cult classic, but essentially it's giant sandworms is really what you're looking at.
Unironically, and this is maybe even just a terrible take, you could absolutely make this a 4v1 game.
Yeah, you can make this an asymmetrical game. I would be 100% on board with that type of thing where you're the sandworm hunting the players.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not something I considered, but I definitely can see it now that you've pointed it out. That would be a fantastic fun time. I also put it in the same option as like a friend slop type game where maybe it's a little more co-op survival where you have to build a base, survive the worms. I think the asymmetrical one would be way more interesting, to be honest with you. So, and this one, there's all the interest in Dune right now. So, like this series could try to piggyback off of some of that at the moment as well.
Yeah.
And then I think you pointed out Umbrella Academy.
I think it would be interesting. Oh, sorry guys, I'm tired. I think it would be incredibly interesting. even if it was like more along the lines of even just a fighter, right? Just a pure like 2D, 3D fighter game could absolutely do something like that. But even more so with the amount of timey-wimey bullshit that happens in Umbrella Academy, you could absolutely make any kind of RPG from this game that you want. Or from this IP that you'd want.
That could be interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, because some of these are also on, like, Netflix and stuff. So I don't know about, like, full ownership versus production ownership. So that would be something you'd have to contend with. But
I mean, Netflix keeps saying they want to get into games.
100%. Plus, I doubt Netflix would mind a percentage of profits if, like, NBC said, hey, we want to make this. You don't have to do anything into it. If you just, want to give us the permission to do so, you can have 3% of the profits, or whatever.
Right. Some stupidly low number.
Yeah. No upfront, but potential good back end. They also Battlestar Galactica franchise and IP, which I think easily lends itself to a Deep Space Explorer game or a strategy RTS game. A bunch of those exist. Now, this one, I think, is a lot harder to justify the potential development cost because RTS games famously are not blockbuster moneymakers. So this one's a little bit more of a long shot, but it would still be interesting if you could make it for the right price.
I think you'd be almost a little bit better off just licensing that to Paradox Interactive.
Hey, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Paradox Interactive has all of the infrastructure ready to go.
Correct.
A license, I'm sure they would be happy to do it. Yeah, 100% they could. It's a great idea. I really hope they listen to this. Of course. The Miami Vice series, retro neon aesthetic, perfect for like either a tactical cop shooter or some sort of narrative crime drama. I mean, you had LA Noire. You could get something kind of going with that. Or, this is the other one that I was like, you could just do a GTA-style game from the opposite perspective. So...
Honestly, the opposite perspective would be sick.
Yeah, I mean, it would be something a little different. I mean, because obviously, you're still going to be playing a little fast and loose with the cop rules here. But, it could be quite interesting to do. So,
like, I mean, I don't know how many people have watched GTA RP, but like watching the cop side of GTA RP is very, very fun.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of good role playing for anyone who doesn't know, but that they're especially dealing with a lot of the player shenanigans for sure.
Oh my lord, yeah.
Sing, which if anyone doesn't recognize that IP, that's going to be the anthropomorphic animals that sing, shockingly. But there's been 2 movies so far. They've been pretty dang successful. I have to admit, I enjoyed them basically for the music. So it was fun, but you can get the classics here. You can get a rhythm game going. You can get a karaoke gaming market type thing. So if you do it for low cost, or you could just kind of do a Dance Dance ripoff as well. Like, because the whole thing in the movie too is there's always set pieces where they're doing choreography with all their songs, either a show, a play, or whatever. So you can easily get a Dance Dance type game going. This one's, again, a little harder, though, because you have to license the music, which can get expensive. But
yeah,
could be there, especially if you market it kind of more towards kid-friendly, especially if you get that G rating, because it could be the type of thing like, oh, yeah, instead of just dancing next to the silhouettes, I want to match the dance movements of the giraffe. So, or the tiny mouse or the shrew or whatever. You take your pick. There's all kinds of options to market this a little better.
Yeah.
The other one that I put in here that I think could be super fun is a Despicable Me franchise. Now, it's obviously got the obvious mobile tie-in game. You could do a Clash of Clans type of thing where different minion types, you build up and then attack somebody else's villain base versus your villain base. You could do the classic IP platformer, think like the SpongeBob tie-in games. But I think the real money, the real interesting type game that I would love is a Pikmin style game, because I'm a huge fan of the Pikmin games. And I think the Minions are the perfect IP to do your own version of that, where you have to develop, create, collect more, whatever lore thing you want to go with in terms of getting more and more minions and more diverse minions to build your base. You have to have these minions do heists, collect materials, maybe go after other villains to get their tech, whichever way you want to slice it. I think a Pikmin style game would be an awesome mashup with the minions.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of those on the market. You've only got literally Pikmin to compete with, so...
Yeah, and on top of that, like, you don't even have to actually compete with Pikmin because they refuse to pull it off of one platform.
That's true.
So you could just put it literally anywhere else, and you'll just win on that platform.
Well, and with the type of graphics you're talking for a Minion game, you could still put it on the Switch too, and it's probably not going to require a lot of graphical fidelity. So
yeah,
literally everywhere, and as you said, you've only really got one piece of competition on one platform. So, Kung Fu Panda is another obvious IP. Any sort of action game, obviously, with Kung Fu Panda. You could do a Smash Bros. Type thing, but that would be kind of more involving this and other types of IPs, but DC already did that, and that game came and went, so I don't know how viable that is. The other thing that you could do here is a real quick and dirty 2D fighting game. You're already on the Kung Fu type thing. Each of the animals can have their own style and special moves, and yeah, it's kind of right there. You could even potentially make that into a mobile game too. So you could do the console game with more in-depth controls, and then on mobile, you could have it real quick and dirty with all the same animations, but maybe it's just like 3 taps on screen for the different types of button clicks. So you could dumb it down for mobile and get a pretty quick and easy cash grab there too. Plus, not to, lean into any sort of corporate greed, but if you have a whole bunch of characters, you could always put in gacha and loot box mechanics and get your money that way. So it's the way the world is. I'm not encouraging it. It's just some corporate guy somewhere is already thinking it.
Yeah,
probably. How to Train Your Dragon series, very popular series still. The live action did great. Very, cute dragons are always going to be hit with anybody that has a soul. You could do the obvious open world with dragon riding RPG type of stuff. Maybe you get some MMO type thing in here, but again, that's way more development money. I doubt they'd be willing to spend that type of cash. I think what's that?
It gives you the opportunity to do it right? Because so many companies try and just make the big MMO, right? That's just like the thing they do right out of the gate. But I think if you did a couple of open world How to Train Your Dragon RPGs and then made an MMO, you'd make bank.
Yeah, especially if they're successful. You just lean into it. You've already got the architecture.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think the other way you could go with this is partner with the Pow World developers and give them money to make you a Pow World. I'm going to say Pow World and not Pokemon, but a Pow World type How to Train Your Dragon game where you're going around collecting all kinds of different dragons or creatures, and then you can obviously ride them around and use them for attacking to collect more dragon creatures. The whole movie is centered around defending your village, so you can just build that into the game where you have to build up a base to protect your village, whatever. So,
yeah. On the other hand, though, if you do decide to go that route, make sure that you just patent everything. Because if you don't, then somehow Nintendo's gonna find you.
That's true. I mean, they don't have to worry about the Pokeballs because the whole thing is they like catch them with nets, right? So
True.
You just don't catch your dragons with Pokeballs. Just catch them with netting. And if the dragon rips out, you got to do the whole thing again. So
Yep. And don't make any dragons look like Gyarados or Dragonair or Dragonite.
Hey, they haven't been sued yet, right? How to Train Your Dragon exists. They haven't been sued by Nintendo. So
True.
all dragons they've shown on screen up to this point are already fair game. They're good. They didn't get any cease and desist, so those are already good. Can't sue for those. Any new ones? Wow. Yeah. Follow Heru's advice. Be safe. Now, this is not an IP they own, but they did make the movie for Five Nights at Freddy's. So they have worked with Scott, the owner of Five Nights at Freddy's, before. So there's already that connection. You could do a more in-depth game, assuming you had the right pitch and can get Scott's approval, and maybe he becomes, the head of that particular development team and just make sure that things stay on track and that they're following his vision. I'm thinking kind of like almost Outlast type horror game where it's a little bit more 3D in the environment moving around rather than stuck in the security booth. But, you already have the built-in brand recognition. You're already in that genre, that horror genre, and animatronics are creepy AF. So perfect for a horror game as is. Especially like if there's moments where you can't see that far into the darkness, but you can see the glowing eyes as you're moving around. Oh, man. Yeah, it'd be a great horror game if you expanded it more out into the 3D environment.
That'd be terrifying.
And then the last one that I thought could have a truly interesting experience is The Purge. Now, here's where I would like to go with it, because I think you could try to do some traditional shooter thing, but I think that's the easy way out, because The Purge only happens once a night. So are you really embodying the RP or the IP if the whole game is just the constant violence? Because you could claim that maybe each match is one purge as you're going and doing stuff and collecting materials, and then the next match is the next purge, but then you're skipping years at a time. It just doesn't make quite sense to me. What I think you could do is a Sims-like experience with the purge twist. So you've got to build your house and do all the stuff while secretly adding safe rooms, traps, yada, 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 collecting your own materials, guns, whatever. And then
people
periodically in the game, let's just say every 20 minutes of in-game time or something, however you want to classify it, then there's a purge event where you can go to your neighbor's house and take his nice TV, but you may have to kill him to do it.
Oh, man. It could be fun. I could see it being a very... You could do a couple of different things with that for sure. It could be something close to a 7 Days to Die type game, where you are building your house, you're trying to just make a living type deal, and then every so on and so forth you run into the purge and you're annoyed.
I even expanding on that idea a little bit, you could even go into the more PvP space too, where there is mandatory no violence times, right? And then there's a countdown timer, just like there is for the purge in the movies, to essentially violence-enabled moments. So you could try to attack somebody else's base, or maybe you decide to defend yours, whatever you want to do. And then once the countdown timer hits 0, either no violence is turned back on, or maybe if you commit violence, there's in-game super cops that show up and wreck your shit. However you want to do it to enforce the no violence moments. That could be a really interesting PvP type style game too. Base builder with forced peace up until a certain point where anything's permitted after that.
Yeah, I almost think Ark Survival Evolved, where you can actually build a little base, and then once a month real time, then a purge happens.
I mean, that might be hard to keep people around.
Right. So that's why I said Ark
but-
Survival Evolved specifically, because it allows people to build their own servers.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. 100%. That could be interesting.
Yeah.
Or you could combine both too, where you have the like server more extended period mode, and then maybe a much more accelerated PvP type mode in the game, just under the same architecture, so people can get whatever flavor they wanted.
Right, and with the ability for them to like have their own servers and stuff like that, they could tweak how often that happens, right? Maybe the default is 30 days, and you can lower it down to as low as 1 hour.
I would even say lower it as little as like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Whatever you want.
I mean, you gotta have time to actually build the base, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, but like, here's the thing. Just, if you give people the option, if they want fucking chaos, they can have it.
Yeah, perma-purge.
Basically, 10-minute rounds. All right, people, you got 10 minutes. Fix walls, grab ammo, get your gear on. Gotta be ready to go in another 10 minutes.
Yep.
Like fighters in a ring. Go back to your corner. Go back to your corner. All right, fight.
Yeah, I do think the purge would be a very interesting experience.
Yeah, I think there's something to happen here. And look, all of these ideas we came up with in one day, because I saw this news today, and so I put it in the script today. So, I would like to hope that somebody at a gaming company or somebody with enough pull who would spend more time on it could come up with other interesting ideas instead of just doing generic stuff, which is why most tie-in games fail.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? You're more than welcome to our ideas. I just want credit. Give us a shout out at least.
Yeah,
assuming you're going to make a good game.
True. Or even if you don't, to be honest. I mean, any press is good press, so.
That's true. Now, if anyone else has their own ideas out there, feel free to put them in the comments. We'll go through some other big name IPs. You've got The Office, Parks and Recreation, Law and Order, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Psych, Xena, Princess Warrior, Hercules, Knight Rider, Secret Life of Pets, Quantum Leap, Madagascar, Trolls, Megamind, Wild Robots, Shrek, Happy Death Day, which is the one where she dies over and over, so you could get a cool time loop thing going in there for that type of franchise. The horror movies, Megan, Chucky, Get Out, and Nope, Phantom of the Opera, Back to the Future, Jaws, E.T. So if there's any cool ideas you have for any of these or the ones we've already talked about, feel free to load them in the comments. But I think NBC has a opportunity here. I think they do have enough unique IPs that haven't been run into the ground, at least in the gaming space, where you could do some unique, fun stuff in here and be pretty successful.
I thoroughly agree.
Alrighty, let's get on to a successful game that has already existed in lab work. All right, coming out towards the end of June, Sand, Raiders of Sophie. I'm sure plenty of people have already seen it on Twitch, as the Burnt Peanut and many other higher profile streamers have been playing it, because it's basically Sea of Thieves on sand. So instead of a ship, you're on a giant fortress walker with 4 legs, moving across the sand and raiding and pillaging other walkers and other high loot areas. Yeah, I mean, I don't really need to describe it more than Sea of Thieves, but with walking fortresses on sand. So it has sold, right? It's sold about 300,000 copies. It currently has 40,000 people on Steam pretty consistently. It's an early access game. They've made their success. This is very successful for whatever it is, the $25 that they charge. They're pretty much good. PvPvE game set in like an alternative 1910 type time frame. The walker you can build up as a base. Yeah, it's a cool game that's existed. I think it's fun. Man, there's so many of these types of games that are starting to come out, and I'm not saying this game shouldn't exist. The people are having a lot of fun with it. I will say that the reviews on Steam are mixed between cheaters and balance issues. It's not necessarily in the best state at the moment, but considering how many people are playing it, clearly it has the potential to be a very good game. I don't know how many of these co-op type games can exist at the market at once.
That is the problem.
We've talked. I mean, I mentioned friend slop earlier. I don't think the term is necessarily a derogatory one, because I've always said I don't think a game needs to last forever to be successful. If it is very popular for a very short period of time, as long as you've made your budget correctly and you have made your money back, great, you can move on to the next thing. As long as you're giving people a fun experience. But I think the expectation needs to be, hey, if you want to enjoy this game, you got to do it while it's popular and expect to move on at some point.
Yeah. I mean, like, you say friend slop, and you said it's not derogatory, and I thoroughly agree, because you have to look at games like Among Us, Peak, all of those.
Yep.
Right? All of those more socially
Far, Far West
oriented.
is the one I've been playing with my friend.
Right. Far, Far West, Meccha Chameleon. Right? Like, all of those have been incredibly popular, and they get popular because most people's friend groups aren't actually 8 people. They are usually like 4 people, and then one person has another 4 people, right? And then so it ends up being a bunch of different people coming together that don't normally interact. So it tends to be a very enjoyable experience, assuming that no one's a complete asshole.
Yeah. I mean, you've pretty much nailed it. And so, like, I don't want to discourage anyone from playing this or whatever other fun game that comes out. I think just go into it knowing that you're going to have fun with it for probably a fixed period of time, and that'll probably be it for the long term. There's not necessarily a lot of reason to keep coming back to it, especially if your friends aren't coming back to it with you. So we're probably going to see more and more of these in the future. We'll continue to talk about them. We'll continue to praise them when they're there, when they're fun. Just, setting expectations. Alrighty. I just wanted to mention this because it did blow up on the space. So if anyone hadn't heard about it, it exists. It might be up your alley. But aside from that, let's move on to Lost and Found. Alright. I put this in Lost and Found because it basically leaked that it existed. It isn't currently being worked on to the best of anyone's knowledge. But Microsoft, as were the rumors, did have something called, what do you think this is? Project Aeon?
It's Aeon, yeah.
Yeah, Project Aeon, which was basically a Microsoft Windows built around Copilot. Not with Copilot integrated, Copilot being basically the centerpiece of this whole operating system. So it was an internal video from 2024 revealing an experimental Microsoft system, and the video originated from BetaWiki Discord server in July of this year. It was designed as an incubation effort to place Copilot AI Assistant directly at the center of the user experience, abandoning basically all traditional desktop environments. While the leaked video showed functional code, it was just an experimental prototype and not a confirmed roadmap for any future Windows 11 update, thankfully. So the system was built on a stripped down, lightweight version of Windows codebase, often referred to as Win3. The modified codebase removed legacy Windows code to deliver significantly faster boot times, extended battery life, and enhanced security. The prototype was capable of running natively on Win3 base on top of Windows 11 as a shell replacement, or even on AOSP Android. Traditional Windows desktop and standard smart menu are completely gone and absent. In their place was a co-powered start menu featuring the Copilot icon and a multimodal input box used to find files, instruct the AI, and browse the web. The operating system relied almost entirely on web apps and websites powered by Chromium Engine via Microsoft Edge. The OS introduced Spaces, a feature that automatically grouped your web apps and websites into dedicated AI-curated work areas that could be easily recalled from the taskbar.
Spaces currently exist in Windows 11, by the way.
Sure. How many people use them?
Me.
Do you really?
Primarily for work, yeah.
Oh yeah, but for work.
yeah, for work.
I think building your entire operating system around this
It's a terrible idea.
is basically an AI version of Windows 8.
You might as well just file your bankruptcy now.
It's too early. It is 100% too early for that to happen.
Definitely.
Is
it fine to experiment with this crap internally? Sure. But calling it a real project indicates that you have intentions of actually trying to make it work. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah, and there was no local support for Win32 either in the prototype.
That's wild. that would fail so hard.
And if you needed to run a regular legacy Windows app, because again, it's all web-based, Chromium type stuff, it would provide a link to stream a Windows 365 Cloud PC instance.
Oh my lord! So it would effectively be virtualization. Oh my lord! I mean, you can already do a lot of virtualization in Windows 11 baseline, but like most people have A, no idea how to even do that. B, no idea how to maintain that kind of environment. And C, one of people's biggest gripes with Windows 11 in the first place is the fact that Copilot is fucking everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's in people's faces. And again, as popular as AI is becoming and it's taking over the industry, like the wider consumer base is not necessarily fully on board in this, especially some of the older generations at the moment.
Well, and especially the gaming side.
Oh yeah, that's true. I don't need that overhead.
Like, not only do I not need that overhead, but at what point do I just say, oh, that person's OS is playing the game for them?
Yeah, you're not wrong. We did just talk about cheaters.
Yes, that's my point. Hey, Copilot, make me wall hacks for this game.
Hey, Copilot, go crazy, fam.
Exactly. Like, come on. It's
Copilot,
just stupid.
Get me first place.
How to make probably your largest non-enterprise user base to jump off a cliff when it comes to your company. Do this. Because the gamers will leave.
Especially if it was the main Windows release replacement, too. It would...
And not only that, it's not just the gamers who would leave. The game developers would be gone. Because no one's going to try and design around. Yeah, exactly. No one's going to try and design around that crap.
Oh, man. So, thankfully, it doesn't exist at the moment, but it does show an internal desire for it to be the future. So, we'll see what happens as we move forward.
I don't know about you, but I have a lot of desires.
I mean, yeah. Well, one of them
most
is to
of
play
them
games,
don't come
right?
true.
Because this would essentially make your GPU useless. Like you could, because nothing is happening locally. You're not running any apps locally. So
correct. Yeah, that's cringe as hell.
I mean, again, prototype. I doubt they're crazy enough to make that the long-term restriction. But I don't know. I'm just glad it doesn't exist yet. I hope this is at least 2 generations down in the future. At least. Minimum.
At least.
But we'll see. But it is something that has existed. So be wary. Alrighty. Moving on into gaming history. Alrighty. Gaming history. This is gaming history because the Suicide Squad flop was a bit ago. This is not something new. Famously, Warner Brothers officially confirmed a $200 million loss after the game's big financial disaster, and it's one of the contributing factors to Warner Brothers basically vacating the gaming space. It was such a huge loss of money. Hence the reason I'm kind of glad NBC's getting back into it. But we got some new information about some behind-the-scenes struggles, and I can see one of the reasons why it went so bad. I mean, a lot of us could guess some of this, but a lot of this new context came out from some like interviews, leaks of like people that had worked on the game. So specifically, Rocksteady, for anyone that doesn't know, that made Suicide Squad, was very famous for the Batman Arkham series. Arkham City is considered, I don't know where it falls into some of the top games in history, but I would probably put it somewhere in the top 25. I feel like as being decently generous for an open world beat 'em up game that kind of did everything right. Like, movement and traversal felt good and rewarding. It felt good to glide through the city as Batman. The combat mechanics were fun and rewarding without being overly complicated, but not being too simple. All the characters that were intertwined in the game was fun. You got to see so many different fun things, and nothing really felt cheap. It felt like a premium Batman experience that respected not only Batman, but all the rest of the villains. So, like, again, there's so many good games in history. I'm probably being too generous, but it's definitely one of the better games that have existed, especially for this genre. That being said, when they were hiring for Suicide Squad, most of the developers were kept in the dark during the hiring process. Now, there is operational security. You don't want things to leak. But I think if you were going to pivot and not make the game archetype that you are known for when you're hiring people, you may want to let them know, hey, you're going to be doing something different. You don't necessarily need to tell them exactly what, but you should probably give them a direction of what was going to be done.
I think if you don't tell them that they are working on a live service game, personally, I think you have already set that developer up for failure.
Yes. I think that's the minimum, right? Like, again, you don't need to tell them exactly what they're doing, but it should be what type of game are they working on, and if it's a live service game, PvP game, story, narrative game, that type of thing. Like, you need to give at least that type of thing. Hey, we're hiring you because you're going to be working on this. Expect to be working on this type of product. So, they didn't do that, though. So, a lot of these developers were hired probably thinking they were going to be working on a Batman Arkham-type beat-em-up game. And that was not what ended up happening, which actually led to a lot of immediate resignations, but obviously some people still stayed on.
Correct.
And weren't necessarily prepared for everything that was about to happen. The game's vision constantly shifted. So, for instance, it was originally supposed to be focused heavily on melee combat, like the Batman Arkham games, and then they pivoted to firearms. So that left a lot of developers confused as to why characters like Captain Boomerang was suddenly using guns instead of the fucking weapon that's in his name. So, like, again, this is just, like, indicative of not a good direction. Axel Rydby, Rydby, which was the former director, stated that the constant delays and ballooning budget shifted the studio's focus away from creative design and entirely towards recouping investments. He noted, I started feeling like I wasn't making games anymore. I was following a spreadsheet, end quote. Which is, again, not a good way to get good production and labor out of the people that are working on your game that is supposed to be fun.
Yep. There is in my opinion, direct correlation between developers having fun making the game and players having fun playing the game.
Absolutely. I think that's 100% fair. crunch is its own thing. I think crunch is a bad thing, okay? But also, it's not something that's going to be fun while you're doing it. But there are still plenty of games that have crunch that end up being fun. I think that's its own separate conversation. But for the vast majority of the development, I think Heru's right. If you're not enjoying making the game, how are you going to expect people to enjoy the game you make?
Correct.
Obviously, they didn't.
Right.
Management also reportedly fostered a culture of toxic positivity, discouraging internal criticism and blindly promising a team that the game would magically coalesce at the last minute, aka crunch, just like the Arkham games did. You know where we heard this before? And this is even before this game released.
Oh, Lord, where?
BioWare. That was famous for BioWare games. The BioWare crunch. Yeah, like coming together at the last minute to finish off Dragon Age, finish off Mass Effect, and those games were beloved and great. You know when it didn't work? When the studio had shifted enough from those original people, and in the last Mass Effect game, it didn't work out. In the last Dragon Age game, despite what reviewers reviewed as a quote-unquote good game, it was a commercial failure. The people did not enjoy it as much as the reviewers did. And I look, here's the thing. You need to have a better outlook from start to finish on this type of stuff, and you need to make sure your developers are being taken care of. That doesn't mean they can't be a little bit stressed. Work is always going to be stressful. It doesn't mean that, there isn't some overtime that has to happen to get a game across the finish line, but it does need to make sure that the people are enjoying working on the product.
I'm going to throw out some Heru history here real quick, because we're already talking about it, and I have been in a company that primarily fostered a culture of toxic positivity. Like, you couldn't do anything wrong. The things that you did were only ever something you could have done better, which is the dumbest thing ever. and I'm going to put the company on blast because, like I said, we're talking about we have talked about that company in this course, and that was Comcast. They are like that. It is the cringiest thing ever, and I'm just going to say it. One of their internal slogans is, "It's Comcastic." And I want you to know that it is said in a very, very, very sarcastic way by basically all of their employees.
I'm pretty sure I could hear anybody that's listening to this. I could hear their eyes roll.
Yeah, 100%. Yes, absolutely. The first time I heard it, I had already left training by the time that I had heard it. And I was just like, who in their right mind thought that was a good idea?
Yeah. That it's just insane. Because here's the thing. If there is no criticism to be had, that means there's nothing wrong with the game.
Mm-hmm.
If there's nothing wrong with the game, then by golly, you better have gotten it perfect the first time, because you're not going to improve if no one's criticizing anything. Nothing is going to get better.
And that level of toxic positivity usually comes from just terrible leadership, because they view any amount of criticism of their own, of like the product or the processes within the company, as their own failures, because they generally are, to be fair. But it causes this really weird, like, friction between the employees and the leadership.
And even amongst leadership, right?
Yeah.
Person at the top discourages bad news, so the person below them doesn't give them bad news, and then that person doesn't want bad news from the person below them, and it just trickles down until nobody is saying anything bad that's happening, so everyone thinks everything is perfect.
Yep, exactly.
Or
everybody knows that nothing is perfect, but they also are still getting paid, so they're not going to say anything.
By the end of it, all the people in the trenches know there's huge problems, but no one wants to relay that to leadership. So most of leadership thinks probably everything's okay.
Yeah, because they either relay it to leadership and then they have to listen to an hour-long lecture, or they relay it to leadership and they potentially just lose their job.
So they stop relaying it to leadership.
Correct. It only takes one. It only takes one sacrificial pawn before the rest of your pawns just shut up and don't tell you anything.
Yep. And for anyone that doesn't believe this is true, I would bet there is somebody in your life that you don't call out something negative about them because you don't want to deal with how they react.
Yep. 1,000%. I can name like 3 people in mine.
Well, I'm perfect, so I know it's not me. But
True.
But yeah, so it's true. I mean, it's partially human, but the whole point is if you're in a leadership position, you need to be able to be like, yeah, hey, look, I may not be happy about bad news, but we need to hear bad news. So you need to come tell me and we'll figure out how to fix the problem. But that would require good leadership. I do think it was reflected in the game because I think one of the biggest complaints about that Suicide Squad, other than a lot of the common ones about like it just not being fun in general, is that there was a lot of disrespect for a lot of the beloved characters in that game. I mean, one of the most famous ones is, spoiler alerts for an old bad game, but Batman gets executed at the end of the game. He's powerless. Yeah, dude. He just gets executed. He's powerless, and the Suicide Squad just basically shoot him point blank in the face while he's incapacitated on a park bench. And keep in mind, this is one of the final performances of the legendary Kevin Conroy. And if anyone's a Batman fan out there, you know exactly who Kevin Conroy is. For me personally, he is the voice of Batman. And this happened basically like right before he passed. So like, this is the disrespect on this one of this man's final performances. Thankfully, there was another piece of animation that came out after this, so fans got to be like, no, that's the last thing he did.
Oh, man.
But it's just the disrespect. I mean, like, I get that it's Suicide Squad and you're trying to be subversive, but here's the thing. The Joker's insane, and he does evil stuff. But one of the reasons he's such a good villain is he respects Batman. Like, he loves the back and forth, the tete-on-tete between the two of them. And a lot of the best villain superhero dynamics are the respect between the two ideals, the clash between good and evil, while evil understands, the main guy. Now, obviously, there's all kinds of villains out there that don't and all that type of stuff, but it's Batman, man. If you're gonna take that route, you better be 100% certain you're doing the disrespect right, and I don't think they did. Then outside of that, there were also pretty untasteful and humiliating post-mortem moments for the Flash and the Green Lantern, as Captain Boomerang was literally urinating on the Flash, and the Lantern was stripped down to his underwear after he died. So like, dude, none of this indicates to me, I mean, except for Wonder Woman, because weirdly enough, Wonder Woman was about the only character that didn't have anything negative happen to her.
Well, yeah, think about it. think about if they did any of the same things that they did to those 3.
Yeah, Boomerang urinated on Wonder Woman.
Female character. They would get ripped to pieces.
You're not wrong.
Like, not only would this game still fail, but on the fucking flip side, they would just get torn to pieces. There'd be probably riots in their own studio.
Yep. There would be a huge amount of backlash. But yeah. I think it's telling. That all of these other characters were disrespected in this way. I don't think there was any love for the IP that they were working on. I don't think there was any love for the characters themselves. I don't think there was any respect to what was happening here. And I think, to your point, it starts with the people that were working on the game. I mean, I feel like if it's a lot better environment where people are happy and ecstatic to work on this and want to stamp their name on this product, do they do some of this stuff? I don't think so.
Probably not. But even then, what creative director okayed that?
I don't know, dude.
Like, come on. Like, your development team was probably trying to send you a message by designing it this way, and you just fucking ignored it.
I don't remember exactly what happened too, but I'm pretty sure Harley Quinn gave a speech about like Batman being like a capitalist billionaire or something too before she killed him. Like,
oh jeez.
Yeah, it was like, it was not a great deconstruction of the genre, let's say. But yeah, I don't think there's too much more to say about this, other than the fact that I think it's telling that this was such a bad experience that some of the people that worked on this game just straight up quit the gaming industry.
I mean, I wouldn't blame them, because not only did their own director say that he felt like he was no longer making a game and just following a spreadsheet. Like, their own director said that. And then on top of that, I can't imagine the amount of absolute terrible leadership and toxicity that they probably had to deal with. And if their assumption, if that was like their first job, or if it was just, the straw that broke the camel's back, like, I don't blame him for a second.
Yep.
Like, and just kind of to harken back to my Comcast statement, Comcast is what stopped me from ever wanting to be in a phone customer service role again. and I stayed unemployed for, I want to say it was like 2 years, because I was just trying to find anything else. It was bad.
Yeah. I mean, I feel
and then I
like...
met you.
Yes.
That's literally what happened. That is actually what happened.
To be fair, gotta give credit to one of my other friends, whose name starts with B, who also helped me in my life. And I was like, well, if people have helped me, I need to help others. So I feel like, pass it on type of thing. So glad you're here.
Oh, thanks.
And I won't make you work on a Suicide Squad game.
Oh, good. How nice of you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't want you to cause you this much distress. Not to laugh at these people's pain. This sounds like it was a terrible experience. But I think I just wanted to bring this up as a, I'm screaming into the void essentially, but as a constant reminder, don't treat game development purely as a business. You are in the business of entertainment. You need to make sure the entertainment is entertaining, and it tends to be easier to do that if the people working on the project are happy and have fun.
Yeah, and on top of that, like, you're not just in entertainment, you're in creativity.
Yeah, entertainment and creativity, you are right. Alrighty. Well, enough of that depressingness. Let's get into some shop class. Alright, taking a look at some of the tech tools in the industry. Does the Steam Machine have its own red ring of death? Heru.
I don't know. Does it Plague?
Kinda, but not really.
Kinda. I was gonna say, I don't think there's a ring anywhere on that thing.
No. So there is an error code LE strip indicator kind of between the cube and like the base portion. So where it has like a little line break. And Reddit user named me_Hill reported that their brand new Steam Machine stopped working only after 20 minutes, immediately following a software update. The device displayed a solid red line on the right side of the front LED bar, which obviously, considering it's a gaming type machine, immediately dubbed it the red line of death in homage to the very, very infamous Xbox 360 Red Ring of Death, which indicated the console had a major hardware malfunction and would not be able to work. And famously, back in the day, Xbox had to spend $1 billion on fixing Xbox 360 consoles. So, very major thing to have happen. However, it's not as bad as it seems, as Valve's official Air Core well, it's not as bad as it seems, but the Valve error code for this specific red light illuminating on the right side of the LED bar indicated a catastrophic GPU failure. Now, that is bad, and that would be very similar to the Red Ring of Death, hence the name, as the GPU is permanently soldered to the motherboard. So, unlike a few pieces in the Steam machine, GPU is not a plug-and-play replacement. The images shared online showed the black box kind of with that red light on the side. So, it very much looks like it. However, it is a manufacturing error. So, basically what had happened is in the manufacturing, that front LED panel was flipped horizontally, which means that it was on the wrong side. It was supposed to be a red light on the left side of the console, which indicated memory training. So far from the console being dead. Basically what happens is, upon a BIOS update or maybe something catastrophic happened and you had to reboot the system, on the AM4 or Zen 4, Zen 5 architecture, the motherboard basically has to reach out to the memory modules and confirm everything is functioning correctly before it will start that boot up process. And that memory training can take a little bit. I know every now and then it does happen on my system after update, and initially I'm always like, why isn't my computer booting up? Everything's black.
Exactly. Same.
Yep. And then I have to remember, oh wait, give this like 2 minutes and I'm sure it'll be fine.
I no longer purchase motherboards that do not have a easy debug LED strip on there.
Oh yeah.
Because
I love that, dude.
I do too.
I used to have one, and I loved it because it just searched the code. And now I don't have one. It's just a little tiny light that I have to bend over and look at it. I gotta bend all the way down to look at it and see the stupid LED light that's right on the bottom side of the case. But anyways,
yeah. See, mine's directly to the right side of my RAM.
Yeah. Well, that would make sense. It's probably easy to see and notice and figure out what's going on.
It very much is.
Now, this particular user left it overnight and came back, and it was working the next day. So essentially what happened is it basically, because the machine was unplugged, basically he performed a CMOS clear. So the next morning when he came back to the Steam machine, it powered up with no issues. And Valve confirmed that is indeed what the problem was, and there's a whole process out there that if you got to do memory training and you need to do a CMOS reset, how to do it. So if you encounter this red line of death, please go find that material for a manual CMOS reset if the system hangs. Give the system a bit of time to train that memory, and if it doesn't boot back up, then you can go do that CMOS reset. Alrighty. I found an article that I thought was interesting that talked about the durability and lifespan of keyboards. And thankfully, I had a little extra time before starting, so I went and found some extra information on mice and keyboard, or mice and controllers as well, so that we can compare and contrast. So, getting a little bit into the durability of our peripherals for our gaming. There are obviously two types of keyboards. A membrane keyboard, which if anybody doesn't know, is basically any cheap keyboard. So that squishy type key feeling, It's going to be a memory keyboard, and what it is essentially a rubber membrane that when you push on the keys, it's pushing down this rubber membrane that forces a circuit to complete under the rubber membrane, triggering that key press. The lifespan for a membrane keyboard and for the most part, all of these numbers are under heavy use. Keep in mind, it's going to be about 1 to 2 years of heavy use, and that's about 5 million keystrokes. For a mechanical keyboard, which is going to be metal contacts and springs with plastic housings, and that's going to be basically any gamer keyboard, that lifespan is going to be 10 to 15 years because they're rated for about 50 to 100 million keystrokes.
As they should be.
Well, they are more expensive, but it does potentially last a lot longer. And the thing here, too, to keep in mind, is if your membrane keyboard has problems, you can't replace parts and pieces. Not to mention it's cheap enough that it doesn't make sense to do it. So you've got to replace the whole thing. However, if you do have a failure on your mechanical keyboard, usually it's a single switch that has failed. And on most nicer gamer keyboards, a lot of those switches are replaceable. So you can actually, some of them are like replaceable without taking apart the keyboard, which those keyboards are really nice. And others, you do have to take it apart, but you can still replace the switch. And if you do it on your own, it can be as cheap as 50 cents. So,
yep. And if you're like me and you keep spare switches around, it's also like 30 seconds.
True. So, even though it's a more expensive investment, it tends to be a better long-term investment. So, keep in mind when you're kind of looking at what you want to purchase, I would highly recommend saving up for the extra $100 to $200 range and get yourself a nicer mechanical keyboard. A, it'll be a much better experience just from a tactical feedback and feel. And B, it should last a lot longer as well.
Not to mention the customization capability.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Especially because a lot of like the newer ones too, you can actually set the depression rate at which it actually triggers. So there's
the Hall effect.
Yeah, so there's quite a few fun things happening in that space. Whether or not it's the traditional like metal to metal contact or that new magnetic Hall effect, there's a lot of fun things out there. Now, for anyone that doesn't quite understand that 10 to 15 year lifespan, that's going to be 50 to 100 million keystrokes. So you basically have to stroke it a lot for it to fail.
So this makes me really laugh because if you've ever played an MMO, namely World of Warcraft, you may not be typing at 40 words per minute, but the characters themselves tend to have anywhere between 50 to 100 actions per minute, and you're probably clicking or pressing each key 2 to 3 times faster. So you're probably clicking each action 3 times ish. So you're probably closer to about 300 actions per minute.
Sure.
So gaming keyboards, yeah, they need to be good.
That's probably pretty similar to 40 words per minute, because if a word has, let's say, 5 to 7 characters in it, you're getting close to that 300.
That's true.
But for anyone out there, for the math on 50 million keystrokes, if you're doing 40 words per minute, somewhere close to that 300, for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, it would take 10 years to hit 25 million strokes.
So if you're like me and... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, to be fair, that's spreading it out across the keyboard, though.
Right.
So you might be abusing a very specific set of keys way more, which could induce failure earlier.
Yeah, literally 1 through 5, all the way down to Z through V. All of those keys, I know for a fact I will need to replace their switches significantly earlier.
True.
But if you're like me and you game 7 days a week, more than 8 hours, your very expensive keyboard will probably last you 5 years.
You're gaming 8 hours a day, 7 days a week?
I'd be surprised if it's that low.
I hate you.
Yeah, I know you do.
Anyways, if you don't have the fancy new magnetic stuff or any sort of crazy optical type thing, if it's a traditional mechanical keyboard with that metal contact, you could also potentially try taking apart your keyboard / switch and trying to clean the metal contacts, because they can become oxidized, especially as our grubby human detritus gets into the keyboard itself. So you could also just try cleaning it. Is basically what I'm saying.
I do also want to say that I feel like there is a very large underappreciation of solid metal bases for keyboards. Because, like, plastic degrades and bends and easily breaks in the stupidest of conditions. A solid metal keyboard is not going to do that.
I mean, true. They tend to have a bit more sturdiness to them. That's for sure. Aside from keyboards, the other PC peripheral is obviously going to be a mouse. This one's going to fail a lot sooner than the keyboard, just from the nature of what it is. So mechanical mouse uses a metal leaf spring that bends to touch a contact pad, completing an electrical circuit. Very similar, just in a different style. The thing that's going to fail is usually that metal pad that oxidizes due to physical wear. So you're looking at about 10 to 50 million clicks before you have potential wear and issues. And at 2.9 million clicks a year, that's about 3.5 to 17 years for a mouse. I don't know any mouse that's surviving 17 years, to be honest with you. But I have had plenty of mice survive past 3.5 years. So
same.
I feel pretty comfortable that like that 3.5 year minimum is a pretty good way to look at it. Now, they do have optical switches as well, which forgoes that metal contact, and all you're doing is when you're pressing the mouse button, usually a piece of plastic is breaking that beam, which registers the click. That is rated for 70 to 100 million clicks, which would be 24 to 34 years. However, the plastic and all the metal springs are going to break way before the Switch does usually. So you're not getting 24 years out of your mouse. If anyone is using their mouse today from 2004, I want you to send me a photo. That's what I want.
I'm pretty sure that would have a ball in it.
From 2004, it could have a ball.
I do believe
that, like, Razer, because we just talked about that Razer ATA or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, throwback. Some of them did start having optical definitely around the early 2000s.
Those were expensive, though. Back then,
does the driver compatibility even function correctly?
Oh, Lord, probably not. I mean, it kind of depends on how well they built the driver and how well they built the mouse, because like a lot of mice nowadays, at least, they're very plug and play.
Yeah.
But what about trackballs? I don't have any numbers here for trackballs. What the hell?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I did not include trackball mouse durability in the research. I'll try to get a follow-up for you next week.
No, you won't.
Ridiculous you are. Oh, man. Okay. Outside of that, the other major gamer option is obviously going to be a controller. And the thing that's going to fail on a controller, assuming you're not spiking it into the ground, is going to be joysticks. Obviously, drift and or dead joysticks is going to be the biggest point of failure, and that's on any and every controller.
But especially the Switch.
Yeah, well, I mean, Switch, yes, but any controller can happen on. So essentially, those joysticks use a metal wiper that physically drags across a carbon-resistive track to measure movement. Similar to like brake pads on your car. This constant friction inevitably grinds down the carbon track, creating dead zones and false inputs. Joysticks are rated for about 500,000 to 2 million cycles under normal gaming conditions, which means you could potentially see stick drift as early as 6 months with an average lifespan of 3.5 years.
So that ADHD action that you do where you make your character run to the right, but you're spinning your camera to the left at the same time, yeah, you're drastically reducing the lifespan.
I mean, the thing that I always do is I always run in a circle around whatever NPC I have to follow.
Yeah, me too. But also today I learned how controllers work, so here we go.
I mean, yeah, there you go.
I had no idea. But also it sounds like that could have easily been a replaceable piece by the consumer.
Could have been, and there are some controllers out there that do make it replaceable. Steam controller. But to give people the number, an active gamer is going to be about 1 to 2 million stick rotation or directional actuations per year. Hence the reason you get that 6 months. Now, the other thing that's happening is you're going to be getting essentially Hall effect sensors, which is starting to come out in new controllers, with a magnetic sensor to read the changes in magnetic fields as the stick tilts. This is zero contact, meaning less wear and tear. So it's going to be about 5 to 10 million cycles. With specifically, you're looking at TMR or tunnel magnetoresistance.
Man,
joysticks.
You missed an opportunity there. It's clearly magneto resistance.
I'm sorry. If you use these joysticks, you'll be able to survive Magneto. I don't know why Wolverine didn't just hold a controller while running at Magneto, twirling the joysticks as he was approaching.
Have any of those like scenes and settings of movies been post 2026?
No.
Then there you go. That's why. Hadn't been created yet.
Clearly the thing that needs to happen. Now, specifically, this is one of the reasons why we told people to not complain about the price tag for the Steam controller, because the Steam controller has these. So TMR sensors detect a much finer microscopic stick movements and draw significantly less battery power, which is also one of the reasons why they're in Steam controllers, because their battery will last longer. And they also hold their center calibration flawlessly over years of use. TMR sticks are built to last 5 to 7 years. So a much better, by far, durability than regular joysticks. So again, for anyone complaining about like the $100 price tag for Steam controllers versus the $70 tag for a regular PlayStation or Xbox controller, this is one of the big reasons why it's worth the value, because potentially you're getting way longer durability. Now, everyone can get a Lemon, but it's also Valve. So if you get a Lemon, I would say chances are good they'll take care of you from a customer service standpoint. But regardless, you have the better hardware. Now, I do find this interesting.
Crazy.
What's that? Yeah. Here, you go for it.
All right, so apparently, and I'm learning this as I'm reading, the Hall effect technology isn't a modern gaming invention. In fact, Sega pioneered magnetic sensors in their console controllers back in the 90s. This is often why a 25-year-old Dreamcast controller will still function perfectly today without any drift, while a modern base model PS5 controller might drift in under a year. Bro, Sega did everything right.
Well, they did a lot of things right and then some things very wrong, but
that's fair. That's fair. I feel like Sega ultimately just lost to Nintendo.
That's true. But this is one of the things they did. You are right. I didn't even know this when I put this together until I had to do the research, and obviously it went in here because it's such an insane type of thing that I had no idea actually existed. So we could have been having this forever. We could have had this for so long. But
we definitely could have.
Here we are nowadays, though. So yeah, if you are in the market for a new controller with joysticks, make sure they are TMR joysticks.
Or buy a Dreamcast controller.
I'm not sure about compatibility.
Someone's figured it out, I'm sure.
You're gonna have to do a lot of Raspberry Pi programming to get your Dreamcast controller to work with an Xbox or a PC. That's all I'm saying.
I want to know if someone's done it now.
I'm sure somebody somewhere has. Post the video in the comments if you find a link to it. Alrighty. I just thought a lot of this was interesting. A few things I've learned, and quite an interesting... I did not think joysticks were that bad, but obviously, as you look at it, because joystick drift is such a bad thing that happens so often, it does make sense. Alrighty. That's it for Shop Class. Let's get into the last few segments as follow-ups in Free Period. Alrighty. So, we already talked about Sony and all their massive negative news. One of the things that we didn't get into is that they kind of lied on some of their statistics. So, they talked about how one of the things that's happening is that a lot of their stuff is already digital. It's 85% digital, and that's one of the things they talked about in justifying their move to that stuff. However, one of the things that they negated to point out in those statistics is that the numbers include all live service transactions, DLC, and digital-only titles.
This is why you never trust a company's graft.
No, you need to know how they did the research. Not just a company. Any scientific research that you are reading at, any data you are looking at, you need to investigate a little bit to see how that data was collected, where it was collected, who was talked to, how many people were talked to, because data can be skewed any way that someone wants it to be skewed if they can hide how they got the data.
Or add in additional data. Yeah.
Now, the reason we know this is because of leaked internal data from Insomniac, where obviously AAA games tend to have a lot more physical adoption because of the nature of how big they are. So, for example, God of War Ragnarok had 76% physical copies. Marvel Spider-Man 2 was 54% physical copies, and Astrobot in Europe was 55 to 60% physical sales. And on top of this, after announcing that they were moving to digital, Sony had to put an active limit on the purchasing of standalone PS5 disc drives to 1 per customer because of the high demand. So, they lied about the data. People clearly are buying physical, and even they had to acknowledge it because they had to be like, guys, we don't have enough drives. Stop buying all of our drives. You can only get 1 per person. Like, it's all there. I would also like to point out that I did find this interesting while I was doing this research, that during a 2009 investor meeting, and this was discovered on Reddit via an old Kotaku article. So it's not posted on Reddit. Reddit refound this Kotaku article. Iwata, who was the president of Nintendo from 2002 until he died in 2015, said, quote, "Most radical people even dare to say," and this is in 2009, "retailers will be replaced by digital distribution in no time." He added, "But personally, I think it will still require a significant amount of time." He explained in other words, it will require many years and many months for the majority of video game purchases to become digital, predicting in short in 20 years or so. I might say it will have probably changed, but in 5 years or so, I do not totally agree with opinions that no one will purchase titles retailers by then. So it's 2009. 20 years from this quote would be 2029. Sony's canceling all physical stuff in 2028. So they're
oh man,
they're literally making this true in 19 years from the date of this quote. This man is prophetic. Or was prophetic, I guess.
Is it prophetic or is it self-fulfilling?
Well, he passed, so he can't be fulfilled.
Right.
Well, and it was Nintendo. Nintendo's not the one that's necessarily fully cutting physical sales, even though you could claim the cartridges aren't actually physical games, so maybe. But point being is he's pretty close to nailing that time frame. Whether by hook or by crook, it's happening. So, the other portion here is that people discovered that there is a clause in Sony's TOS. So Section 10 of the updated April 2026 PlayStation Terms of Service explicitly states that the words buy and purchase and own do not transfer any intellectual property rights. Players are merely purchasing a revocable license, which obviously we've mentioned many times before, but apparently it's in the terms of service now. On top of that, what's that?
That wording gets dangerous, though. So for $20, I'm purchasing a license to an intellectual property that I can now do whatever I want with.
Well, there's a lot more things in there that says you can't do whatever you want with it, but see where you're going with that. But it gets worse from there, because in Section 21.2, it states that if a PSN account is inactive for 36 months, Sony reserves the right to close it after a 6-month email warning. According to Section 21.3, the closure is irreversible and permanently deletes all access to purchased digital games, DLC, and subscriptions.
That's bullshit.
So, yeah. So, hey, let's say you buy a PlayStation. You're playing all of these fun games. Something catastrophic happens in your life.
You have a child.
Sure, you have a child. You
doesn't even have to be catastrophic, man.
You don't log in. Maybe you have the child and you also get a Switch so that you can play games easier on the move. And you don't come back to the PlayStation for a while. And how many people have signed up for PlayStation accounts with like a junk email, let's say, because they don't want all the marketing BS or anything like that. So they don't see this email. And I don't think this is out of the realms of possibility. Guess what? All of that money you spent on digital stuff, gone. Poof. Gone.
Yep. You know the best part about reading TOS? Is that if you read the TOS of a lot of really crap companies, you'll just exit out or not purchase that product very fast.
100%.
But I also find it really funny that someone, and I say someone, but a company can tell me that the words that have definitions that are socially accepted do not have those definitions. That's the wildest thing to me, I think.
True. Social definitions are different from legal definitions, for sure.
Merriam-Webster, hello? So the problem is if that's the case, then every law that any country has ever written is completely irrelevant.
No, because usually in the country's laws, words are defined. You can see, like, a lot of times in those things, it's when referred to as purchase here within there is now indicated that the term means this. They usually put that in the contracts and stuff and laws.
You're just going to have fucking 7, 10, 30 pages of clarifying the definition of standard words that everybody knows what they fucking mean.
Don't you wonder why contracts are so long?
True.
Because they have to define everything and then try to pull a wool over your eye.
Right.
Speaking of pulling the wool over your eye, people try to be like, well, Steam, all of that stuff is digital, and what about your library, yada, yada, yada. However, in Valve's official Steamworks documentation, it legally mandates that even if a publisher pulls a game from the store, players who purchased it must retain the ability to download and play it. It is their in the contractual obligations between consumer, Valve, and publisher.
Wait. Isn't The Crew on Steam?
Yeah, I mean, you can still download it. I don't know
You
about
can't
fully
play it.
playing it, but...
Exactly. You can't play it, so it breaks their TOS.
Now, hold on. I don't know how that applies to games forcing you to open Origin to play them.
That's fair.
Because I do know that like older EA games required you to basically also have Origin, and it would just basically you click a button on Steam and it was actually launching it through Origin. So,
yeah.
I don't know what that entails. But in general, Valve is very much like, no, you have to be able to download games. I mean, my Steam account, I don't know how old it is, but it's got to be close to 15 years. And any games that I purchased 15 years ago, I can still download.
You know the other thing that's kind of wild?
What's that?
You know The Crew on Steam indicates that it is a single-player game?
Yeah.
You can't play it.
Well, I mean, it's EA and they do free stuff. I mean, you should email Valve.
Oh man, they'd have a heyday. They probably already tried to.
Oh man, I'm sure somebody has. But yeah. So there's all of that in the fun TOS stuff. But as with last week, it continues to get better. Or worse, depending on your point of view. A lot of major partners were kept in the dark about this announcement. So even major AAA publishers and retail partners had no advanced warning about this 2028 all-digital announcement cutoff, which caused a lot of frustration, I'm sure, from a lot of different companies, especially in India, which is kind of one of the things that I had up here. Not only in India, but there was also an Austria factory, which produced about 600,000 discs per day, 50% which were PlayStation games, now, this was a Sony factory. They had actually already been transitioning. They knew this was coming. So they had already actually been transitioning and kind of winding down production because it's apparently been in the works for a while. However, their partners in India had no such advanced warning, and a lot of indie studios also didn't have any advanced warning, and Kojima was also upset, which Death Stranding is PlayStation exclusive, so why are you pissing off famous developers on top of that? But a lot of indie studios and distributors were upset about this. Kojima stated he is really sad and, quote, frightened about the streaming dominant future. And he's actively buying up physical movies and CDs. And I've seen him like post his massive physical collections. Quite impressive.
Wish I had the money to do that.
I was about to say the same thing.
Like, sure, I could buy it all, but like, where am I going to put it?
Warehouse. Air-conditioned warehouse.
That requires money.
Start selling things. Anyways.
The things that I want.
Anyways. A little bit of non-confirmed news, although plenty of images were circling around that on the PlayStation subreddit, mods were also removing any sort of 85% digital versus physical sales posts, so that they were being taken down, so people can see them as quote-unquote misleading.
On the PlayStation subreddit?
Uh-huh.
Get the fuck out of here.
Pretty much. So, specifically, I mentioned India. So, at the time of Sony's global digital announcement, PlayStation India's office was actively negotiating with local distributors and retailers, with the primary goal to invest in and establish PlayStation brick and mortar stores across the country, targeting about 100 locations by the year 2028. Physical game sales were intended to be the foundational pillar of the extensive expansion. Neither PlayStation India nor the local investors were warned about any of this discontinuation of physical discs, with one involved investor expressing intense frustration, noting that they were being asked to invest a couple of crores, or 10 million or tens of millions of Indian rupees, into these stores without knowing they wouldn't be able to sell any physical media. Now, the problem here from our point of view in the US, we don't necessarily need the physical media, but there's a wider gambit of wealth in India. And so a lot of the Indian gaming community relies on heavy and a robust secondhand ecosystem to actually be able to play games. Full price digital games are a significant expenditure, and often gamers buy new physical releases such as God of War Ragnarok for about 5,000 INR, finish it quickly, and then resell it as quickly as possible to get a lot of their costs back. And then obviously the next person who couldn't afford the new copy gets it for a little cheaper, and then they resell it, so on and so forth. And Sony is cutting all of that out. So I mean, if this is a huge part of the Indian gaming market, I don't know how PlayStation remains on top.
I mean, they don't care about the Indian gaming market. If they don't care about the PC gaming market, you think they care about Indian? Well, that's exactly the problem. It's very obvious in the Indian gaming market that a lot of people don't buy games. They buy secondhand games. So they clearly don't care.
Well,
especially, they didn't even care enough to tell their own PlayStation headquarters in India. That's wild.
I mean, that's 100% fair. Well, here's what I would say. A warning to any person living in India. If you decide to not get a new PlayStation, make sure to log into your PSN account every 30 months so that you don't lose your saves or your progress.
Honestly, just do it so that they have to spend money to maintain your account.
That's true. That's a good point.
Stick it to them.
There's a few remaining pieces of bad news. Because, again, this feels exactly like last week. I don't know how, like, if this continues for a third week, I don't even know where they could possibly go from here. Because it's, like, they just constantly bad news after bad news after bad news. In some incredibly suspicious timing, there was also what Sony declared was a bug, which would wipe hours played exclusively for physical PS5 disc games. So the digital games remained unaffected and you could see your hours played. But any physical game had the played hours removed. But it's definitely a bug. Totally a bug. I mean, dude, there's no way, right? Like, the timing is way too insane for that.
Oh, it's too perfect.
That's freaking nuts. Then, again, on top of it, it's a problem you've talked about before. Sony's upcoming fighting game, Marvel Tonkan, is how I'm going to pronounce that, Fighting Souls, which has been blocked on PC in 132 countries because the Arc System Works game requires mandatory PSN account linking, and PSN is unavailable in all of those regions, which we have complained about before, but here we are again. Got digital only? Too bad for you. Gotta have a PSN account, and we don't allow you to play it in that country.
It's the sole reason that I don't play Helldivers anymore.
Yeah.
Like, well, it literally just straight up made me stop.
Now, it was pretty bad, especially because the game didn't need it, and it didn't and they removed it so people could play. It was only a detriment ever.
Yep.
Outside of that, when people are upset, so they're canceling their accounts, which, yay, good for you for voting for your, with your wallet. So they were canceling their PSN or PlayStation Plus subscriptions. All of a sudden, people were being offered with 50% off retention offers as they were trying to cancel their accounts, which, to be fair to Sony, not that they need any fairness, is a common industry tactic that as soon as you go to cancel, you get offered a deal to retain your ownership of whatever or your subscription to whatever. I just feel like I get what's happening here, but you also might want to read the room.
Yeah, I don't think that 50% off is going to help.
No, especially when someone's so pissed off, it's just going to make them more pissed off.
And
then on the last bit of suspect news, 2 days after the controversial announcement, which obviously sent everybody into a frenzy, Sony president and CEO Todoki sold 225,000 shares of Sony stock on July 3rd, with the massive offload representing 56.5% of his holdings in that class of stock, which netted him $4.73 million.
That
He has sold over
be,
50% of his stock holdings in that class.
That shit should be illegal.
It was after the announcement, so there's no insider, potentially no insider information. But I do think this is a sign that it's probably going to get worse before it gets better, because you don't sell your stock if you think you're going to make more money off of it later.
Correct. Yeah. That's just dumb. Like,
you do sell your stock if you think it's going to take a nosedive and you can buy it cheaper later.
That's true.
So
it's just so dumb. Like, these I'm not going back into the C-suite conversation.
No, we don't need to. We've been there. Plus, we have to quickly get through the follow-up Xbox information because, gosh, the two of them are competing for terrible over these last 2 weeks. So let's move on from that and into civics and sociology. Alrighty. The only reason this is even in a different segment is just because I didn't want them in the same exact segment, because they're both being ridiculous. So that July 6th date came and went, and a bunch of the things happened that we thought were going to happen. Asha Sharma initiated the most significant restructuring phase in history of the brand as she officially stepped into the CEO role. She pointed the finger at Phil Spencer's strategy as the cause for the layoffs. She stated, "We simply spread ourselves too thin," with the restructuring eliminating approximately 3,200 jobs over the course of the fiscal 2027 year, which now, the aggressive reduction accounts for roughly 20% of Xbox's total global workforce. The layoffs are split into phases, with 1,600 roles eliminated immediately, and the remaining 1,600 over the next year. This includes a very prominent veteran departure of Xbox Vice President Kevin LaChapelle, who worked at Microsoft for 37 years. He was laid off. He notably led the team that built the Xbox backward compatibility program, and he led the team that created the cloud gaming product. That seems like a pretty prominent individual to get rid of.
Right, but why do you need backward compatibility if you're just going to follow Sony anyways and not have discs?
Potentially. Could 100% be true
there. His job's no longer relevant.
You're not wrong, although you still have to have compatibility with older software on newer hardware, even if it's digital.
Nope.
No? Okay.
Not needed.
She highlighted that severe financial inefficiency, stating Xbox's operating margins are currently 3 to 10 times lower than comparable gaming platforms. Yeah, because you haven't been selling anything. Microsoft pointed to the shifting macroeconomics, noting that gaming industry is experiencing the most severe hardware crisis in its history. Even though they continue to make money and Nintendo had a record sales year, it might just be you, well, and Sony, both increasing your products to unattainable amounts. The brand's aggressive expansion strategies have proven financially unsustainable, as Xbox reportedly lost 64 cents for every single dollar invested during a typical year. Yeah, that's not a good way to survive. Now, the one thing that I did like is, instead of flat out shutting down studios, so keep in mind, these numbers I don't think are factored into the layoffs. So technically the 3,200 is way higher if you include studio sales. So Double Fine Productions and Compulsion Games will leave Xbox to operate as independent studios. So they're basically being let go to be amongst themselves, with both studios retaining their rights to their intellectual IPs, which Microsoft definitely did not have to do. So despite all of this crap, I do have to say, this is a good move. I appreciate this, and this is how things should happen in the future, rather than just canning everybody and causing IPs to go defunct with no one to support them. Undead Labs and Ninja Theory have successfully secured terms to join new ownership groups, aka they're being sold. So again, I'm okay with this too. These studios can continue to make the games that they're making. And Arcane's French studio is currently beginning mandatory consultations with local works council to review potential strategic options. So its fate is up in the air at the moment, but I assume their goal is to also try to find a purchaser or maybe buy themselves. Again, this is great. Well, there's other terrible things we'll get into, but hey, a good choice is a good choice. I hope that in the future other places do this rather than just cutting and shutting down for tax breaks. So they get the win there in my book. Outside of that, Bethesda underwent a massive internal realignment, which basically pointed Bethesda, instead of doing anything outside of the norm, your focus is now only the proper or the most popular franchises, aka Fallout, Elder Scrolls, Doom, Quake, and Wolfenstein. Which, I mean, if you're bleeding money, it's good to refocus and get back to being more profitable, and then you can start to try to do new things again. But it is also kind of disappointing that it got to this point. Unfortunately, one of the casualties here is going to be the very famous id Software, which lost out on most, if not all, of its core programming team. With a few of its developers noted that the vast majority of the laid off were coders. Industry insiders and former Bethesda staff reported that roughly 95 employees at id Software were let go, and I think I saw updated numbers today of like 73. But the studio's only like 150 people, 175 people, so it's a huge chunk of that actual team. So I don't know if it's just a skeleton crew at this point. And this is pretty huge pedigree because of the id Tech engine and a lot of the proprietary stuff that's been heavily leveraged and optimized in other games. It also is interesting because they literally on the exact same day released Doom: The Dark Ages Revelations. So here's your game. Oh goodness, we're gone. Now again,
which means that none of them are going to get bonuses for said game.
True. I mean,
well, they might.
I was going to say it depends on how the contract is written, but
yeah, true.
Who knows? Obsidian Entertainment also suffered severe costs. That's going to be Outer Worlds and famously Fallout New Vegas, with severe cuts, about 60 to 70 developers. Now, I did see a rumor today that Microsoft has actually tasked them with working on a new Fallout game, which would be awesome because they made an awesome Fallout game. So assuming that the people that are left at the studios were a part of making that awesome Fallout game, but that's not a guarantee. Gosh, again, you kind of just get into a lot of these issues and promotions. We don't need to go over this because we're short on time. I will point out that Xbox had expected Game Pass to have 77 million subscribers by this time this year. And they currently are at 30 million, which is 4 million down from where they were 2 years ago. So, you're not doing great. And, a lot of money is not where it needs to be. Over the last decade, Microsoft spent nearly $80 billion acquiring various publishers, which we don't need to get into, for Xbox Game Pass. And the margins obviously have not been there, including concerns about hardware margins. There is potentially a return to Microsoft exclusivity, which is not the Sony exclusivity. It does include PC, which I think is fine. I think if you're going to have console exclusives that also release on PC, I think that's totally a fine way to do it. That's a good way to incentivize people to buy your specific console, not necessarily literally only the Xbox and not PC. But it also never made sense to a lot of people why they were releasing their biggest titles also on PlayStation. Now, they have said that the brand new, not remake, but brand new Gears of War E-Day and Clockwork Revolution are going to be permanent console exclusive, not timed releases. Again, I think that still includes PC, just not PlayStation. And major live service and multiplayer games like Call of Duty and Minecraft will continue to release across all platforms, including PlayStation, which does make sense because Minecraft was basically propping up Xbox. So, during the FTC trial and reports by Bloomberg, it's basically that it pointed out that with Minecraft selling 300 million copies and delivering significant profits, it was basically funding the entire Xbox ecosystem. So all the revenue they were making from Minecraft was going to affect most of the Xbox businesses and development. What a bunch of money wasted.
Yeah. I will say there is one piece of information in here, or that's not in here, that I want to go over, and that's the fact that while a lot of Xbox studios did get hit with layoffs, there were very few layoffs at Blizzard. And if anybody is curious as to why that is, there is a very large union for Activision Blizzard King employees. So likely they just wanted easy cuts and didn't want to deal with a union.
Yep.
And that's why unionizing is good.
Plus, I'm sure WoW makes a lot of money.
Sometimes. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
I did put in here one interesting piece that would have been hilarious, but it never came to fruition. But there was a recent leak that revealed that Microsoft produced and then canceled a 42-second advertisement in early 2025 that compared physical and digital games, with the commercial highlighting physical benefits like owning the copy and lending it to friends, alongside digital benefits like pre-installing and quick switching, before asking with the tagline, "What will you choose?" And then the campaign was scrapped right before it was about to go live.
That's probably a good idea.
I mean,
Maybe
if it had gone
go
out,
live.
and if Microsoft wasn't going to abandon disc sales, they could throw this into Sony's face right now.
I mean, you know for a fact they still have the video. They could still throw it into their face.
They should. They totally should.
They
That would be
kind of should,
hilarious.
honestly.
I do, before we close out, because we kind of need to, we're running long. Before we close out, though, the one thing I did want to mention is I have no problem with a console releasing without a disk drive, assuming that a attachable disk drive is a separate purchase that I can buy, because the world is moving to digital regardless of any complaints that we have about what ownership that actually is, which we do have plenty. But having the option, I think, is the thing that needs to exist. If people want to spend money to have the physical disk drive and buy the physical games, then just make it a separate add-on purchase. It doesn't need to come with the default console. I mean, that's the whole point of like the PS5 Pro, right? Is it doesn't have that disk drive. You have to buy that separate disk drive. I just don't understand why they can't continue that in the future.
Well, and on top of that, you know that all of these consoles will forever have USB, so you can't tell me that you don't have a port that you could utilize.
Yep. 100%. All right. I mean, there's a little tidbit here about Halo 4, but it's just more bad leadership and direction that I don't think we need to get into. I think that's pretty good for this week.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Alrighty, people. Close your books and pack those bags. That's all we have time for this week today. God, I'm reading the script way too closely because it's been going on too long. But I would like to leave you with specifically this quote from Game Informer writer Brian Shea. "This generation will not be defined by its great games or incredible tech, but rather by corporate greed, mismanagement, and anti-consumer practices," which I think pretty much sums up exactly what this console generation has been. And with that depressing note, we hope you enjoy your time off and look forward to your participation next time. Please, no more negative news from Sony or Microsoft. Bye.
See ya.